Welcome to A Shoot for Construction. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs, and today I've got with me a gentleman who isn't from Toronto. He is from Canada, practicing in Canada. And if you are unaware with his work, well, I will tell you immediately now, head over to Instagram and take a look, because it's beautiful. When we first chatted, he's like, how did you come to me? And I was like, well, I've noticed your work. Today I've got sitting across from me, Theodore Oyama. And you might know him as Theo, you might know him as Ted or Teddy, you might know him as his full name is Theodore, but you might know his practice as Oyama. And if you don't, you will shortly. Theo, thanks for taking time.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you don't practice here in Toronto.
I do not.
Where do you practice?
Well, my office is in Montreal.
I should have said that. Where's your office?
I have actually had a project here in Toronto.
Yeah.
One. I'm looking for more.
Yeah.
So would love to expand to Toronto and Ontario in general and the rest of Canada.
Yep.
But yeah, the bulk of my work currently is in Montreal and the surroundings.
Right. Okay. And where were you born? Were you born in Montreal?
Born and raised in Montreal. Yeah.
Okay.
Grew up in the West Island, so suburbs of Montreal, still on the island. Lived there till I was 18, 19.
Okay.
And then started at McGill, and had seen my parents and my brother commute into town, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta move downtown, and sort of managed to scrape enough funds to make that happen, and sort of never looked back.
So you just did a really nice intro to where we'll go. So tell me about what it was like growing up outside of Montreal, and what did your parents do? What were your interests early on? Tell me about that.
So yeah, we grew up. The West Island is sort of 40 minutes, say, from downtown Montreal.
Okay.
Suburban development, homes, and
later in this conversation, Theodore talks about the years he spent doing finish work on full home renovations, learning the difference between what looks right on a drawing and what actually holds up once it is lived in. That is the kind of care Kaplan's Appliances brings to a project. Long after the sale is done. If something ever goes wrong with an appliance, you're not left tracking down a manufacturer's call center and waiting on hold. Because for Kaplan's, the sale is just the beginning of the relationship. It's not the end line. It's the starting line. What you'll do is you'll call Kaplan's and they'll take care of it. This is the whole relationship for them. Whether you are an architect, a designer, a builder, or a homeowner working on your own kitchen, they want to be the people you can actually call. If you're working with Kaplan's, ask for Janine and tell them Issued for Construction sent you. She'll set you up with the right person. You'll feel great, and the experience will be something you've never had before. If you like this episode, please leave a 5-star review, give the show a follow on Instagram, and check the liner notes for links to everything discussed today. Now, let's get back to Theodore.
We moved out there just before I was born.
Okay. And is your brother
89.
older than you?
Yeah, he's a bit older. So he grew up. They grew up in a neighborhood called NDG in Montreal, and then we moved out. Just before I was born in 89. And the suburbs back then had a bit more. There was more farms. There was a horse farm that then turned into a kind of big movie theater, shopping mall area. So there was fields behind our house that eventually got redeveloped. So we kind of had the benefit of having these kind of more wild or kind of in between sort of brown fields and
free range.
Yeah, but basically free range. Like we would just go out there in the summertime and just kind of be out there from, dusk till dawn, pretty much.
Was it just the two of you, or were there neighbors? Like, were you playing?
Lots of kids. Okay. So yeah, we grew up sort of at the end of a cul-de-sac. So it was really quiet. Eventually, I think, when I was like 12 or 13, they developed that field behind our house, and there was a little bit more traffic, but no, for the most part, we grew up in this kind of 8-house crescent with kids our age. My brother's 5 years older, so there was always like a big mix of kids of different ages and stuff, and lots of street hockey and that kind of thing.
And was it a situation where in the backyards when you had first moved in, no fences? And so you'd be able to
no. There were fences. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of this thing like we were talking about before, where you're like, the parents are probably asking like, oh, whose backyard are the kids in, kind of thing, and who's keeping an eye on them, and okay, then that's fine. So
well, on a cul-de-sac, you don't have to worry about through traffic, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just have this nicety of knowing that the kids are at someone's house, or you can see them out front.
Exactly. And we sort of lived in this like kind of crescent, and in the middle was this like round kind of green space that was
in the center of the
crescent. So it was just like trees and grass and whatever. So you're either in the road playing street hockey, or you're in there like running around with a soccer ball or whatever. So I think for the parents and them, it was like kind of nice. You just can like peek out your window and nobody's killing each other. Okay, great. Nobody's bleeding, or
if they are, it's minor.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to call for a medic.
Exactly. So yeah.
And what was it like, having an older brother? Was your older brother there and like supporting you, or was he the kind of
he was very much supporting me. I think we're still very close.
That's great.
We bought and renovated a duplex together with our respective partners, and so he lives above me.
Amazing.
And he just has a kid. They just had a kid, so our kids play together and stuff, and so we're still very close to this day. And
that is rarefied air.
That started back then, and so and now he's friends with my friends that I made back then. I'm still good friends with his friends, and that he has from kindergarten.
Crazy.
So yeah, it's very close, and I think he was a big part of whatever I am now. It's definitely, I owe a lot to him for that. Yeah,
I'm floored by it. I mean, honestly, I don't know that I've spoken to really the only other person I can think of that I've spoken to in years of doing this now is Dion Fashina from Denizens of Design, that lives with her siblings. I can't think of anyone else that has that type of relationship and closeness.
Yeah, I mean it's
nice.
It had its ebbs and flows, but like every relationship. But yeah, it's I don't know. I think it comes a lot from him and his personality, and sort of being super generous with his time when he was quite young, and most kids are not looking to spend time with their brother that's like 5 years younger, but he was always a good always a kind of good role model, always included me in everything, and so yeah, I just sort of ended up always growing up with people that were 5 years older than me, which when you're 7 through whatever it is, 13, 14, it's like that's a big jump.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what did your parents do?
My mom worked as a nurse.
Okay.
Within the kind of community public health in Quebec. So she worked downtown and was kind of always kind of commuting back and forth. My dad worked for IBM for almost the entirety of his career.
Wow.
In various positions, but eventually more into like kind of business consulting, sort of meeting with companies to figure out like how to make their businesses run smoother, and then sort of provide the kind of hardware solutions that IBM could provide eventually. So he was traveling a lot. He traveled a lot for work, and so which kind of petered out closer to the end of his before he retired. But he would be away a lot, and then he would coach like our soccer teams and stuff. So we'd have like a lot of intense dad time over the weekends and stuff, and then he'd be away.
It's great.
Yeah, he really, I don't think he loved being away necessarily, but he saw it as just like something that needed to happen. And when he was home, we'd go camping, and I think he still made an effort to be involved though.
So the outdoors were always important, it sounds like, throughout your childhood.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, whether, like I was saying, we were kind of playing in the fields behind the house, or we were going camping as a family. My brother was in the Scouts for a while. I did the Scouts for a few years. But you do like these kind of week-long trips. So yeah, no, that's always been really kind of important to our family. And we've sort of maintained that, doing canoe camping trips every summer with friends and stuff. So I think something that like just that I need. If I don't do it for long enough, I feel like something's a little off.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Behind you sits a whole bunch of photos from my canoe trips.
There you go.
Yeah. The paddle hanging over my side and my hatchet and an axe next to me.
Algonquin?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All Algonquin.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm about to book my trip for September. We found a sweet spot, my buddy and I.
Mm-hmm.
Just love it. Same thing.
Yeah.
Without that, it feel like I haven't fulfilled something in my year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's nice. We have a kind of running canoe camping trip with friends of mine, lots of which I've studied with at McGill.
Yep.
That we do every year for the last.
So where do you go?
10 years. La Vérandrie, which is like a big park sort of northwest of Montreal.
Okay.
So like a 5-hour drive.
Yep.
So we've been going up there a lot.
A lot of different types of elevation gains and
it's a lot of there. So we tend to do like these kind of circuits.
Yeah.
And or we, there's another part of the park that has a big reservoir in it, so you can kind of like, you don't really need to do a circuit. You can kind of just go from one site to the other or stay at one site if you want. And we're sometimes a group of 10, so not everyone.
People.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. But it's a lot of fun. And sometimes some people can't make it, so other people rotate in. And, it's been really, really great. This year might be the first year, and since we started it, that I cannot go for.
Wow.
Okay. For reasons that I had mentioned earlier.
Yes.
But it's or I go. I have a friend who works in New York City who will meet up in the Adirondacks.
Yep.
And go hiking and camping up there. So yeah, it's important for me. I just need it. I don't do it like all the time, but 2-3 times a year just to get out there.
I haven't got there to 2-3 times a year yet. I do my one. I would love to do 2 to 3 times a year. It's hard when you have a young family, and like, asking for that time off is a challenge.
Yeah. Yes, it's a negotiation.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if my wife's going to listen to this episode or not, but like I ask for enough time off here and there that I don't know that I could do that. I would love to do the Adirondacks. I'd love to go. Actually, I haven't gone to Killarney yet. So I want to get to Killarney, and then there's like this dream I have of doing it with. So I go with one friend. We do it all. We don't allow anyone else to come. I've had other friends ask, and we say no. The two of us just work really well together. I want to go to Yukon.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I want to go do a trip in the Yukon.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to know. I want to go see it. I want to experience it. But that's a bigger thing.
Yeah, that's a big trip.
Yeah. So what about moving away from that, back to the other stuff? So what about like what your interests were like in school? What were some of the subjects that you took a liking to, and did it deviate over time and move towards something else? Tell me a little bit about that. Through primary elementary school,
I think it's like I think I was always interested in the arts, but it was never something that I like studied.
Yeah.
Sketching in random notebooks, in my like little agenda that you get in elementary school.
What were you sketching?
Whatever, just, little comic book characters or whatever little things.
Marvel or DC?
I think it was like Calvin and Hobbes.
Okay.
or like Far Side comics or like that kind of stuff.
I haven't heard Far
Less
Side
like
referenced in so long.
yeah, like less superhero
Fair.
stuff. And yeah, I just feel like it's kind of even something that I would do like a bit kind of mindlessly. But at the end of the year, like you look at it and it's like it's just like completely covered in line work and sketches and whatever. And yeah, I think it was always kind of something that interested me. I did a few like painting courses when I was young, because I think my parents saw like I was interested in it, but it was never like a passion, but always something that seemed to be a bit in the background. And in school in general, I mean, I think I was a good student. Math, sciences came relatively easy to me. I really enjoyed writing. Sort of like high school, I had like, grade 10, 11, I had like English teachers that I found like quite inspiring. And so like took to...
In what way?
They're just clearly like passionate about what they did. And I think at the time, like as a teenager, you don't really like clue into that, but you just get a sense from them, and they were very supportive and stuff. And so I just feel like it sort of sparked a bit of an interest in me. So writing in the high school and CJEP and even into university, taking some English lit classes, I think that was also something that interested me. And so I really like ran the gamut of subjects. I was just, I think, a kid that was interested in a lot of stuff and had a hard time really focusing on sort of one thing and kind of following that. So right. I just tried to try as much as I could. But it's not something I was thinking about at the time, but I was just like, I'm bored of this. I mean, this looks cool. I'm going to go do that.
Right. You did reference something there that I don't think I've given enough discussion point with anyone that's experienced it before. And for those that listen that don't know it, CJEP. Can you tell everyone what CJEP is?
So it's high school in Quebec ends at grade 11.
Yep.
So it's essentially grade 12 and 13. And it's, I don't know, a program they introduced in the 60s, I want to say, in Quebec. And it's sort of basically in between high school and university.
And you have to do the 2 years?
You have to do 2 years. You're doing basically, for students that are going to university from Ontario, you'll often do like a year zero, like in a kind of equivalency year. And it's all subjects that we do in CJEP. And so CJEP is it's both a program or a sort of schooling that prepares you for university, and you're also able to take sort of a professional you're also able to do professional programs. So if you want to become like a firefighter, policeman, nurse, whatever else, they have these programs as well. So you kind of get divided into two streams: people that are going off to do something in university, or they're taking these professional programs and they're going straight into their profession, into the field, and starting to work. So in that way, it's kind of nice. Like you can, and it's like all subsidized by the government. So you pay like whatever, I don't know. I think I was paying like $150 for the semester, and like that was it. On top of your books and stuff. But yeah, I think it's interesting, and it feels like it provides kids at that point with like a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more freedom. You're not jumping from like high school straight to university.
Some stability, some understanding of where you can actually go and focus your skills.
Exactly. A little bit more bit more framework. And different options of what to do, and some time to mess up and it not be a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. So did you have a guidance counselor at any point that was helping you with direction at all, or was it more so as you were kind of evolving as an individual that you started to be able to hone in on some of your interests? How did you establish where you would want it to go? Later in this episode, Theodore describes an apartment he lived in during a semester abroad. one with a strange, winding entry that opened unexpectedly into a beautiful space, the kind of moment good windows and doors quietly make possible. This is what the doors have specialized in for 20 years, and they show up as more than a supplier. On a renovation, they are on site taking their own measurements before anything gets ordered. On a new build, they're producing shop drawings and walking the site with you as it comes together. They offer a full range of European window and door systems, different material and glazing options, curved work, lift and slide doors, custom colors, and shop drawing revisions included. No surprise fees for doing it properly. And if you want to build something like Theodore's done in the past, well, something like a, passive house, if you wanted to look for net zero, they have product that can hit those tolerances. If you're working with the doors, ask for Martin or Marta and tell them Issued for Construction sent you. For their contact info, you can find it in the liner notes, or you can email me directly. It's Jonathan, JONATHAN, at issuedforconstruction.ca. And if you've liked this episode, leave a 5-star review, give the show a follow on Instagram, check the liner notes for links to everything discussed. And now, back to Theo. Or, as he likes it, Theodore.
I mean, I didn't like it like architecture was something I kind of like backed into, or at least like studying architecture. I had finished CEGEP. I had studied kind of the sciences stream. It was, something that left the most doors open to me. I had made a good friend at that time, and we were gonna finish CEGEP and like travel for a year. I think we both backed out of that, and we went into McGill.
Not out of CEGEP, out of travel.
Out of traveling, yeah. We both backed out of traveling for the year, and so we went into McGill, into a program that was like you were able to do both arts and sciences, so still not really like making the decision to kind of
define your major.
Yeah, not really like defining anything. He ended up going into finance and becoming a bit of a finance wizard, working for the government of Canada, and very, very brilliant guy. And I had a friend who was studying architecture at McGill, whose dad was an architect, and he sort of gave me a tour of the building, and I was like, oh, this is like, I think I can get into this. It was always like something that I sort of knew existed in the back of my head, but like at the time, like I still wasn't sure like what an architect did. Mm-hmm. And I think even going to the program, I like still wasn't completely sure. But I was like, oh, this looks interesting. So transferred into the program, didn't get in, transferred again, and eventually made it into the program. And so with already like a year and a bit of university done.
Okay. And had you known anybody over the course of that first year while you were working on defining what you'd want to do that was in the program that you felt?
Well, so I had done a year of university, and then I applied to transfer. I didn't get in. And so that second year I took as many classes as I could without being in the program. Like there are classes that are open to students that for like the rest of McGill.
Yeah.
So I took some of those classes and, met more people. My friend who was in the program introduced me to other people, and those people are the people I now collaborate with, go camping with. One of them was Michael. So these people.
Michael Floring?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
What's up, Michael?
So
what's up, half of Odami?
Yeah, people that I'm still like really close with today. And I think once I got into the program and met these people, and I'm like, well, these are a lot of people that like I see myself in a lot of these people, where they're like lots of different interests,
right?
People coming from very different backgrounds, have maybe very different entry points into this kind of program or profession. And I thought like that was super interesting.
What I also think is pretty cool about McGill is that, and for anyone that is unfamiliar with McGill, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but McGill is also a really interesting melting pot of talented people from not just across Canada, but also from the US.
Yeah.
So you get a really diverse student body where if you're engaged in it, you can have a great network of people coming out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we had people from, Singapore and, also abroad too. So yeah, it's great for that. Like it's really, it's not just Montreal centric,
Yeah.
which is really nice.
Also a very hard school to get into.
School,
Right? I mean, at the
yeah.
time, and I know it's even harder now, but like, your average to get into McGill was, I think, what, like mid 90s or low 90s?
No, I don't think it was that high. The other little quirk with CJEP is that there's like there's a different rating, like a scoring system that they use. So,
okay.
But no, it's not like necessarily the easiest school to get into.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, who knows? Maybe I wouldn't have gotten if I just applied directly to the architecture school.
I think nowadays it's like you got to have I think it's like a 97 or a 98 to get in.
Really?
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So what were some out of the experiences you had while you were there in that program? What were some of the most rewarding experiences you were able to gain, whether it was from teachings of a professor, one of the courses that you took that had a project that you had to work on that you felt was like really challenging but really fulfilling when it was completed, or perhaps it was like the social network of things that you had developed that you could do, outside of school, and how that really translated into like growing you as an individual.
I mean, I did my undergrad there and I ended up doing my master's there as well.
Okay. So you were pot committed.
And I had that time before I got into so like I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah. How many years total would it have been?
Too many. No.
Tell me, doctor.
7 maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is a long time.
Yeah.
One specific, I mean, it's hard to kind of narrow it down, I think, like I'd mentioned, before, I think it's, I think meeting all these people and, they're all really talented, like smart people, and sort of like, learning from them. There's a lot of great, profs, that we had. McGill has, some great, this podcast brought to you by McGill University. They have a lot of great travel programs associated with the School of Architecture. So, I had the opportunity to do an exchange in Brussels. Where
did you work when you were in Brussels?
I went to school there. I did a semester there.
Okay.
During my undergrad.
Okay. And how does that work? Do they set you up with a place to live? Like you live in a dorm?
No.
Okay.
We were 3 students going from McGill, and we had to kind of find, I think they can maybe set you up with some place through the school, but we found our own apartment, and that's a whole other interesting kind of story. But,
okay, let's hear it.
Well, I mean, just that whole, whatever it was, 6-7 months was great. I mean, you can imagine I was a little bit older than the other 2. It was 2012, so I was 23. They were 21. We're going off to live in Europe for 6 months.
Yeah.
School is pass fail. So
school's pass fail.
Well, like the courses, we just had to pass them. We did not have to
you didn't.
There was grade, no grade that would be associated with our whatever, our GPA.
Yep.
So all we would get is a kind of pass fail note, and so as long as we did enough to pass, we were fine. So. There was a lot of weekends that we spent not in the city and traveling and stuff.
And going where?
I had a friend in Paris and in Amsterdam, so I did like several weekends in both cities taking the train.
Yep.
We had a lot of friends, so there was students there were 6 schools involved in total. I think 6. So we had friends in Milan, Vienna, Grenoble in France.
Sorry, say that again.
Grenoble.
Okay.
It's like near the Alps.
Yeah.
I'm missing a few. But anyway, there was a lot of people in our class that were also on exchange. So
a lot of exports.
Yeah. So we were going there. They would come to us.
Yep.
We had friends that would fly out for like reading week and meet us for a week. So we always had people staying at our place.
And how did you find the place at the time? You didn't travel there. So how did you find it?
I had family friends that were living in Brussels at the time, and that we asked to help us with the search. And we went through a few spots, and they ended up finding this one place, which was owned by this classical pianist who was living in Tuscany, had shipped his piano to this little villa in Tuscany for 6 months to practice, and we were living in his house. It was a little absurd, but
how fantastical is this?
Yeah,
crazy.
It was nuts. It was nuts, and it was a really beautiful place.
And how did you find the listing? How did you come across this?
I don't remember, honestly. I don't remember.
Okay.
How our friend found it.
And do you remember anything? Was there anything significant about the place in the way that
Yeah. I mean, it was a beautiful. I was staying where he kept his piano. His piano room.
Yeah, sacred room.
Yeah. And it was very weird. I know how places in Europe are, sometimes just the way the city fabric is laid out, the buildings are a bit contorted.
Yes.
So when you walked into this place, it was a bit kind of serpentine, and you'd come in from a kind of windowless hallway, and you'd eventually make your way up, and then it would kind of open up into this big kind of beautiful apartment. So yeah, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of parties there, and got into a little bit of trouble, but
that's okay.
It was okay. We survived.
I don't think it would be appropriate if you were there with a couple friends on an opportunity like that to not get into some trouble.
Yeah. We definitely got into a little bit of trouble, but
what was the worst thing?
We threw a huge party, and some things got broken, and some neighbors complained. I don't think the police showed up. Okay, but it got a little out of hand. But whatever. We sort
That's okay.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You're in your early 20s. You're saying it now.
Exactly.
I don't want to talk about. Come on, you can't control your early 20s trying to have a great time in a foreign country.
Absolutely. No, we definitely managed to have a good time. So no, it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. So anyway, all I have to say is that McGill offered us that experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, we traveled all over. I had a friend come in. We flew to Barcelona for a long weekend, and it's also traveling in Europe is different. I think we got €70 tickets from Brussels to Barcelona
on a train, or you can fly around and it's nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All I hear is this. I've said this before. I've never been to Europe. Yes, I know. I'm a sheltered boy.
I mean,
I've seen more or less almost all of Canada.
Right.
I've seen lots of the US. I've been to a country in Asia. I've not traveled to Europe. And
yeah, I mean, it's, we had probably spent the semester before looking at, in a architecture history class, looking at all these kind of architectural movements from, 18th, 19th century, early 20th century, a lot of which, began in Europe. So, for us, I think it was as kind of kids studying architecture at the time was kind of an important step for us. So we did actually do some architectural related stuff while we were there.
I would imagine so. What would you say was one of the more interesting places that you were able to see that you had wanted to, and did it hold up to your expectations?
Well, so after that exchange, I was able to get on this travel scholarship that the school offers, where it changes every year, and they sort of will pick a spot and kind of pair it with a theme or an idea. And the year I got it, I went to Romania, and my mom is born in Israel, but her family is from Romania. So it was super interesting and we don't have a lot of ties anymore. Everyone kind of fled after Second World War. So, I was able to go visit the towns of my grandparents, and probably would not have been a trip I would have done kind of on my own. But through this trip, we were there for 3 weeks. We started in Bucharest, and we sort of traveled around and saw all these little towns and stuff. And that was something that was a trip that I probably would have never really done, or at least not done in that capacity on my own. So that was really, really, really interesting.
Hmm.
But when we were on exchange, we did a lot of the kind of major. That's when I saw the majority of Europe, France and Italy and Belgium, Spain.
And were there any architects that you'd been studying whose work you really appreciated, where you were able to go and see their work in person? And I'll ask a second question after that one. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, it's kind of a known project, but the Gaudi's Cathedral in Barcelona was something that I think we kind of, everyone kind of sees as in their history books, as they're studying, but actually to be able to go see it, to understand that like it was still being built at the time after decades. I think that was super interesting. And I mean, a very beautiful project, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think also and it wasn't just seeing like the kind of capital A architecture projects. It was also just seeing like how cities are kind of laid out in Europe, how people live, what are the kind of quote unquote uninteresting buildings, what do they look like. I think that was sort of as interesting to me when I was there as sort of the kind of, let's say, starchitecture projects.
Yep. And did you drop into any offices of any of the practices that exist in the cities, or was that just not the right not the right place? Or
I don't think it was
suitability.
I don't think we did any of that. I think especially as a student, like it's kind of hard to you maybe don't have the confidence, or you don't have the connections to kind of, you don't have a lot of friends that are already working yet. But yeah, I mean, we visited some other schools.
Okay.
And
did you feel like the campuses of the places that you went to go visit were inherently different than what you had experienced?
The whole system is very different.
Okay.
Than at least what I knew at McGill. It's, my sense of it was that it was much more kind of democratic, in the sense that like everybody gets into the program and then they kind of like flush you out like year after year. Whereas McGill, it's like really hard to get in, or, let's say North America in general, it's very hard to get into the architecture program or into university in general. But once you're in, it's kind of hard to like fail out. My experience when we were there was that there's like a group of students that just do not continue on after first year, second year, third year.
Interesting.
So it's just a kind of different approach. And that sort of structure, you just get a sense of it. It just kind of changes a bit the kind of vibe in the school. But I think it's good. I mean, it allows people to try a program out that, they don't have to like kind of kill themselves to try to get into, and realize like, oh, this is actually not for me. They can just kind of go in and try it. After a year, you're like, this is actually not for me, and move on.
Right. So let's bring it back. You finish your opportunities of the travel associated with this extra program. You finished the kind of not the co-op, but the exchange program. And what does life look for you afterwards? Is this easy for you at this point to be able to go find a job? Do you know where you want to work? Do you know what kind of projects you want to be working on? Or do you simply just start applying? How's it? Run me through that.
So at the end of my, I think, first year in architecture, I was, this is before my exchange. I'm sort of like talking to people, talking to profs. There's a lot of like practicing profs. So, just trying to see like kind of what's out there. And this one prof is like, well, I have he does residential work. He's like, I have a project that's starting, and the contractor is actually looking for someone like a carpenter for his team. And the prof knew that I liked to build, that I was kind of handy. And so he's like, this contractor, he's a former McGill grad. He studied architecture and he went into kind of carpentry and becoming a GC. And so, maybe just sit and talk to him and see if you're interested. So spoke to him, and And it sounded like kind of a fun opportunity, kind of delayed my entry into kind of the office life. But
That's okay. You're going to pick up a ton of skill working with the carpenter.
yeah, it was an incredible experience, and I worked with him for the next 6 years.
Yep.
On and off.
Okay.
And it was great. So I basically did that for the first summer. We worked on this guy's project.
Okay.
It was kind of major gut renovation, and just kind of did that during my schooling, pretty much.
So you did that part-time while you were a student?
Well, basically the summers I would do it full time.
Yeah. I
think third year I had a semester, because I had done a whole bunch of classes like before getting into my program. I had a semester that was a bit lighter, and
this is, you're talking about through CJEP?
Through undergrad.
Okay. Oh, sorry, through undergrad. Okay.
Yeah, because I had sort of done classes before getting into the bachelor's, so I had like my end of my bachelor's was a bit lighter, and I had some afternoons that I was available, and
okay.
My boss would allow me to work half days and stuff, so he was like super accommodating, which was great. Between my undergrad and my master's, I also worked a bit for him. I did like 4 months in an office too, but yeah, sort of on and off until like 2016.
Okay. Earlier in this conversation, Theodore talked about his annual canoe camping trip, something he says he genuinely needs. Time on the water with people who matter to him. Aquanta Pools understands that pull, and they build for it. Yuri and his team stay close through the whole process, from the first conversation about how a family actually wants to use their backyard, through construction, right up to the moment you are in the water with the people you love. It is not a transaction for them. It is building something you will use for years. If you're working with Aquanta, ask for Yuri and tell him I sent you. It issued for construction. Yeah, Jonathan. Because with Yuri, what you're going to get is an experience unlike any in the pool industry. A nice customized pool using all Italian biodesign, a technology that is relatively new to Toronto and the Ontario scene, but not new to Europe and Asia. And it's special. You can check the liner notes to find out more, or email me, Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca, and I'll introduce you to Yuri. And if you've been liking this so far, give it a 5-star review. Give us a follow on Instagram. Check the liner notes for all the links. Now, back to Theodore.
But it was like an incredible. I mean, I would do it again in a second. I don't think I would, and I encourage a lot of people to do that, maybe at least for a little bit before going into an office.
To go work for a builder.
To go work for a builder in some capacity.
Why?
Because I think it'll just make you a better architect. Like, I think it'll allow you to understand the perspective of the person who's like reading what you're drawing. It allows you, to learn kind of what maybe you would see as being relatively silly at the time, but like understanding tolerances, for instance, like understanding how materials come together, understanding why it isn't difficult to build this particular thing, because understanding sequencing of things, these are all really important things that you need to know as an architect eventually, but you kind of learn it right now through kind of trial and error, mostly error, and and so I think at least spending a bit of time kind of on the other side allows you to just do your job eventually, that much better, be that much clearer, be able to communicate better, be able to understand how things might be difficult for them to do, how to make it easier for them to do it, and so that the project, the detail, whatever it is you're looking at, is executed properly.
Right.
So yeah, and I mean, this guy that I worked with was just very diligent, just a exacting kind of contractor. So it wasn't kind of someone just there to kind of make a quick buck. Like, he was eager to learn new ways of doing things. He was a good teacher, so it was like a really good opportunity for me. Yeah, I can imagine maybe it's not the best to work for any contractor, but if you find one that's willing to take you on
Yes.
for a little bit, that's willing to help you learn, I think it's a really can be a really, really beneficial experience.
Okay. I think it's really interesting. I've spoken to some people that have graduated from school, and they've actually taken the time to go and build, design and build things themselves. And the lessons they learn, as you describe it, puts them so far ahead, that they know that when they're going to go and actually detail something, that it's something that can get built the way they're detailing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can, it allows you to speak their language a bit more.
Yep.
You understand how things are typically done, and then how maybe you want it to be done slightly different. Like, you understand the rules, and then so that later on you can figure out how to like bend them and manipulate them a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's really I think it's really helpful.
And what was this type of projects that you were working on with the builder? Were they
so we worked on mostly, or pretty much exclusively, residential renovations, but extensive, like, emptying out the house. Basically, you got nothing but the exterior walls and the party walls left.
Okay.
And maybe you're blowing out the back to put an extension, whatever it is. And so and we did a lot sort of in-house, let's say.
Okay.
So I did everything from, digging some small foundation areas, framing, all kinds of finishing. I learned how to weld, did some brickwork, some roofing, kind of a little bit of everything.
What was the worst injury you incurred while doing all of this?
Oh man.
Theo just rubbed his face. Of this.
There's been, aside from the, occasional hammering of some part of my body by accident, there's been some close calls on the job, either, because of me or to me or to someone else. But, for the most part, we were pretty safe. Okay. But yeah, there's been some close calls, moments where we're like, oh, I don't know if we should be doing this, but we're here now. So
I just watched Neo dodging bullets right now on that question.
Yeah. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here.
This is not throwing someone under the bus. It's more like stuff happen. Like it always happens, right? There's always a situation where, like, you almost just cut yourself with a saw.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
For sure. You step through in a place where you shouldn't have, and you fell a couple feet.
Yeah. I've definitely. I've worked on scaffolding. Setting up scaffolding, taking it down.
It drops. And,
yeah.
Something smashes your thumb, and boards turn. You're carrying more than you should, and you throw your back out. Like, there's all different kinds of stuff that can happen. And I say all of this because if you practiced on that side of the drawing, that's what you're experiencing. It's the physical part of trying to construct. Yeah. While you're also dealing with the mental part. It's different than designing it.
Yeah. I remember bringing up like a sheet. I was also a little bit younger then, so maybe a little stronger and a little stupider. But bringing up a sheet of like 3/4 ply, and like the wind catching me, like holding it
like a sail.
And my wind catching me, and my shoulder hurt for years after that. But yeah, on that point, it's like, bringing up like sheets of 4x12 5/8 gyprock onto the second floor through this like really tight staircase. When you when you just put a note on a drawing, it sort of like means one thing, versus like when you actually have to bring that sheet up, it means something slightly different.
Yes.
So yeah.
I remember as you're looking out now, and we're looking at getting the TGIs up for the second floor roof, and what it was like lugging those up on the angle, and then beyond that, like there were we had a late delivery of the lumber, like well past when it was supposed to arrive,
like late in the day.
Like we're talking like 8 o'clock at night. They showed up.
Yeah. That's when accidents happen.
And you've already put in a full day. And I looked at Natasha, who was framing my house, and I was like, Nat, can we do this? And like, I'll grab you a case of beer in addition to like, whatever else. And she's like, fine.
Yeah.
And you move an entire skid of 2x4s and 2x6s. For an hour, and your shoulders are screaming at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I remember a lot of those moments, but no, I mean, he was good.
It's great.
He was always like safe. Tried not to do anything too cowboy. If he was going to do it, he would probably do it himself.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was good. Sort of, I remember when he first started bringing in festival tools onto the site, and sort of that, learning about, how to use those and what that brought to sort of like our ability to
the efficiency of time,
the efficiency, but also like the accuracy and all that stuff. So that was the first time I'd seen those tools. That was like in 2012,
and
I want to say.
And the connection points where now you can all of a sudden, like, you have less dust because they've got the vacuum built in.
Essentially we had like, eventually you had like basically a rolling workshop, like you do all the kind of cabinetry on site, and it's kind of a game changer. So it was like a very, very important experience for me. And I'm like super grateful that he took me on.
I think it's also interesting to me to hear of someone that worked while in school, because a lot of people struggle to be able to do that while also managing their course load.
Mm-hmm. There was no choice. Before that, I was working at a bar for a little bit. That was untenable.
That was what?
That was not. I wasn't able to keep that up. But sort of working throughout was kind of not really much of a choice.
Fair.
But at least in this case, it was something that was pertinent and interesting for me, challenging.
So let's talk through moving past that, and going and applying and looking what life looks like as a graduate of school. And
so
trying to flex
graduated
those muscles.
Graduated at the end of 2015. And then I still worked with Brian for another year, I think.
Okay.
And then I got approached by a prof, or someone who taught me, I think, in undergrad, who was looking to hire someone. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Sounds interesting. Worked with that office, big office in Montreal, big office, for a year and a half.
And what did you come in as? What was your role, and what kind of
whatever is like below junior? I don't know.
What did you have to do? Like, what were some of your tasks?
No, it was a great experience. I got to do, it was a lot of like kind of early concept work, as a kind of grad, you don't have a lot of like technical ability to kind of draw whole construction sets and that kind of stuff. So you're doing a lot of concept work, diagramming. I think he liked that I did a lot of model making and that kind of stuff. So I ended up doing a lot of that. We got a 3D printer for the office. So like incorporating like kind of more traditional model making techniques with kind of 3D printed elements.
3D printed elements, you're talking 2016-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was like when they started really kind of coming out, but they were still really expensive.
Yeah. It started becoming a bit more like available, let's say. And I don't think the money was not really the issue for this office. But it wasn't like a super sophisticated machine either. Fair. So I was sort of doing that. A lot of, we did competitions and stuff. So it was a lot of that for about a year and a half, and worked on some great projects. But I ended up at the end of that, there were like some things happening in my life. I had to kind of step away. So, but I ended up getting a gig teaching at McGill, teaching a studio. So I was sort of left that office. I was teaching. I was renovating a house that belonged to my grandparents at the time, and did that for about 6 months. And then
the teaching was full time?
Teaching, no, it was like 2 days a week.
Okay.
So I had like kind of a few part-time gigs. I think I maybe had like a side project going on too that I was helping out on.
I say that because, if you're listening to this and you're a student and you're wondering, what can I do as I come out of this? Or you're a young architect at a practice and you're debating, what's your next step. Teaching is a great way of being able to earn some money.
Yeah.
It definitely provides you with some level of stability because you know when you're doing it.
Hmm.
You understand what you have to build for the course. You know that you're going to have marking. Like it becomes a lot more of a.
It's a good way to kind of diversify kind of your income, especially when you're starting out.
Yeah.
If you're starting your own practice, it's very, very common to find designers or architects that are teaching because they know they're going to have this kind of steady income. It's also like a way for them to stay connected to what's happening sort of within that realm of the field.
Yep.
Keeps you sharp, keeps you honest.
Well, in universities, typically, if there's like new programs or software that are out there, like they're typically going to be some of the first places to learn about that.
Yep.
They've got the funding for it.
Yep, exactly.
So for many reasons. So okay, so you move past that, and how and when do you establish your practice? What happens in between?
So after that, I had decided that I kind of wanted, knowing that I was probably going to stay in Montreal long term. I was like, I want to get out for a bit. Tried applying for jobs in the States and in Europe too. Had some interviews. Nothing really came of it. Ended up taking a job at another office in Montreal that a friend was working at, and then 2 months into that, I get a call from someone who's working at this very, very nice office, who's like a principal there, and he's like talking to me, and he's like, as if I'd like gotten the job already. Like he introduced himself, and he's like, okay, like, so this is the project, and this is where we're at right now. Do you have experience in this? No. Okay, that's okay. We'd like you to start in like 3 weeks. And I'm like thinking like, this is like a prank call. Like, what is going on? I was like so confused. But yeah, so basically what happened is that I think that was in maybe March, and in the fall prior to that, I had left a portfolio. I was in New York City. I left a portfolio with a friend of a friend who was working at.
You were in New York City?
I was just visiting. I was visiting in New York City with the students, actually.
Got it.
And I'd left a portfolio with someone who worked at Renzo Piano. They had a satellite office in New York City, and sort of was like, here, I have it in my hands, like, have it. And I'm like, this is not going to go anywhere. In my head, I'm telling myself that. And so that's how this principal got my portfolio, and he called me, and basically
from Renzo Piano's office.
Yeah. They had a project in New York City for Columbia University that they needed to hire someone. And I was like, eventually figured out that no, this is actually real. And so like 2 months into this new job I'd taken in Montreal, I think they had like just given me like business cards that were like beautiful embossed business cards, and I'm like, hey, so I got this like other job, and then when I told him where it was, he was like, obviously you're gonna go do that. Like they were very supportive.
Yeah. And, but such an awkward conversation.
It was I felt very, very guilty because I was just like, I feel like you just paid a whole bunch of money to kind of like set me up here. But no, they were very supportive. And so, yeah, May 2019, set off to New York. And
what a whirlwind, man.
Yeah, it was
wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
How did you find a place to live there?
Well, so the story with that was that the project was for Columbia University. So they have a
dorms.
No. Wait. So they have two. I'm jumping ahead. They have two campuses, and this was for their second campus, sort of a bit further north from the original one. RPBW had already done several buildings there. They had done a master plan for that area, but the principal who was on the project is based out of Paris. So basically, for the first 6 months. 5 months, for reasons that are still not clear to me, I was basically back and forth between New York in
Paris.
Paris, because I was hired by the New York office, but the principal, we were still in design, and the principal wanted me there with the team. So I would do, at the beginning, it was 2 weeks and 2 weeks.
Wow.
Then eventually it got a little bit longer in each city.
Sounds exhausting.
I was, yeah. I mean, it like, everyone's like, wow, that sounds like amazing. Like,
No, it
super,
sounds like it's full on burnout.
I had like stomach issues at some point. In that 6 months, 5 months, I went back to Montreal to do this camping trip.
Yeah.
And see my girlfriend, and I was a little burnt out.
I like how subtle that was.
Well, it was
like,
it was just
burnout when you said the burnout.
Yeah, it was a lot. But it was a great, it was obviously an amazing experience.
Of course.
So
we just had there's some robins that live in my area, and they tend to think that when they see the reflection of themselves in the door here, they tend to think that they can mate with themselves. So
that was very cute.
Theo just saw one of them pop up
came to say hi.
Yeah, pop up and say hi. Sorry.
So it was just an incredible experience. I mean, I remember, so when I got New York, spent 2 weeks there, sort of got to meet the people at the office. I had a good friend that I'd studied with at McGill who had moved down there a few years before, and so at least I had like a friendly face to kind of hang out with. And but I remember, getting to the Paris office, and that's kind of their big office, sort of in the center of Paris, and a great location. The office was stunning, full of models of projects that I had studied and seen before, and like it was one of those like holy shit moments.
Is this real?
Yeah. And it was really, really incredible. Like just an office, whether no matter what the city was, full of like really talented, like type A, really driven architects that were, I think one of the things that I've experienced at big offices is that there are concept teams, and there are like teams that are drawing the project.
Yep.
And they tend to be divided, and project tends to get handed off at some point.
Yep.
But there it was sort of like you come in and you are the team from A to Z. It's like a tight little team, and you're gonna design and draw the whole project, and go to site and do the whole thing. So I think that was a bit of a change that I really like appreciated. So people there were as sort of design oriented as they were technically proficient, whether that, and they're able to get into the kind of Revit model and draw it all, and sort of, so that was really a really interesting experience for that. And they're, an office known for prototyping and for their model making. In the Paris office, they have a model making shop that's directly adjacent to the office.
Okay.
That's incredible. I mean, it's like a storefront. So as you're walking down the street, you just, you go from like bakery to like these 3 guys making models in this like incredible little space. And you actually have to come out of the office, go onto the street, and then come back in through like this front door. And so, I think just being in that kind of culture was really, really, really cool.
And how long were you there?
I was at the office for a year and a half. Basically, I was also like COVID had hit and stuff, so things got like spicy. But yeah, they basically decided September, October 2020 they were going to shut down the New York office, satellite office, which had maybe 12 people, some of which had been there for a long time.
Right.
So it was a big deal that they were doing this. So at that point, October, November, I kind of was like, do I stay? I still had a partner back in Montreal who I'm still with. And I knew that if I stayed, that, things would maybe take a different direction. So I was like, okay, I think I got to go back. And at that point I had been approached by, a couple different people for sort of cottages. This was like that time where like everyone's like, I need to like move out of the city.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, this seems like a good opportunity. I'll go back home and I'll like maybe kind of a sign that I should start my own thing. Because I remember being like, I don't know where I'd want to work going back to Montreal.
And did you have anyone that would help you understand how to start up a practice? Like, would your
No.
The knowledge that your dad had in business consulting and stuff was different. It was in tech. But
yeah, well, so that was one of the things. When I'd taken some time off, he had passed away suddenly in 2017.
Oh man!
So I did not have that resource anymore, unfortunately, for that. But I had stepped back because of that from working at that one office, and that's when I taught, and we had inherited this house that was in shambles. So I did some work on that. So that was a moment. I didn't step back right away. They continued working for about 6 months, and then at some point I was just like, I need a bit of a time to like process all this. So,
dude, I lost my dad 2020 just before COVID started.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate what that is, and not being able to share and draw on those resources, over time.
Yeah, there is a lot of moments starting my own practice where like I really wish I had that. I was able to talk to him about that.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, yesterday as Father's Day, every single year I feel bittersweet about Father's Day.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
So it was starting. It was never my intention to start my own practice, but I was like, I have these 2 projects.
Yeah.
I technically wasn't even an architect yet, so I actually ended up collaborating with a really good friend of mine who has her own practice. So she kind of helped me a little bit. She had recently started her practice, and I sort of talked to her about a lot of stuff. And I think that, I'm very grateful that we ended up doing those projects together. Even if I had been an architect and had my stamp and everything, I think it was nice just especially during COVID to like have that person that you connect with kind of on the daily.
Yes.
And not sort of be in your own bubble.
And what were the projects? What was scale of projects?
They were residential new builds.
First projects.
Yeah, I know. I was quite lucky. But at the same time, there was also a lot of things that
aligned.
There was a lot of challenges too, considering like construction contractors were like difficult to come by, and pricing was all over the place. Materials were,
fluctuating. Yeah.
I mean, fluctuating in the upward direction. Yeah. So it was a hard time to get a feel for the construction of the project, the pricing, and all the budgeting and all that. Projects, people approach me with projects. I was like, oh great, this is gonna be huge. Like, this is gonna be really. And then they're like, we can't do it anymore. Like 6 weeks later or whatever. So it was a weird time to. At the same time as I had like these great opportunities, it was also like really difficult to kind of get any sense of sort of stability and rhythm to the practice. Mm-hmm. But I collaborated with my friend Julia Manassis, who the projects we published as the ones I did with her. Mm-hmm. It was kind of just a great moment and a great opportunity. It was kind of the timing. Well, as disappointed as I was for them to close down the New York office, this kind of helped in that whole transition. So
I started throwing in the word serendipitous.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah,
it was serendipitous indeed. Yeah.
And was it hard for you to be able to establish? I mean, outside of registering your business and all that, but establishing your contract and what that was going to look like.
Still figuring all that out. Okay. I mean, like it took time, but it's like I feel like at first it was really a mess, and then it's just like stuff you're constantly tweaking. I feel like if you're running a business, you're constantly trying to find ways to like to make things more efficient. And,
Yeah.
and so I try to be very I try to stay like kind of tuned into that as much as I can and question like if I set something up, I'll use it for a little bit and try to be like, okay, what's working, what's not.
Right.
But yeah, it was a challenge. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. And and at the same time, you're like, well, I need to produce. Like,
Yes.
I need to.
The only way I'm going to get billables is
Exactly.
paid is if I actually deliver something.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I was still quite new. Like, even if I had worked some time in offices, like I still, didn't know that much.
Yeah.
So I was still trying to figure out how to do things properly, as well as design a project that I'm proud of, as well as try and run a business that is half decent. So
talking about like getting things off the ground, getting started, you got to build a website, then you got to figure out how you're going to do your email, and you're going to go and you got to register your the name. And I actually what I find really interesting is that you use your last name as the name of the business, but you also have a really interesting last name. And so you have this,
not a total coincidence,
right? That you have this opportunity that down the road, when you look at, I know that you just, you're new to this still, like the practice is not that old, but you have like a succession opportunity too, because the name is not totally a standard name. It doesn't sound like Jacobs.
Right. No, I mean,
how did you decide to do that?
I'd love to say there was a tremendous amount of thought in it, but
perfect. There you go. You said it.
No, so it's not. I don't think I'm someone who is interested in necessarily having like my name on the door. But I think for an office that's starting out, I have a last name that I feel is sort of is uncommon and will catch your eye.
Yes.
And sort of, I just like, well, let's just keep it simple and do that. I didn't necessarily like the sound of there being a kind of word before or after atelier, studio, whatever it was. I just liked, the Oyama, so I just kept it like that. But I don't also count out, any possibility of it turning into something else later on down the line. I'm not precious about it in that way. Yeah, for me, it's just kind of a way to get recognized, start things off.
Yeah.
And,
Did you run into any challenges when registering or no?
The name?
Yeah. No?
No. Luckily, it's not a name with English in it, and didn't have too many issues in Quebec.
Fair.
So yeah, no. It was no problem. Not too many Oyamas.
And what did it look like when, as you were getting off the ground and you talked about the idea of working with your friend, it was Julia, right? Mm-hmm. So working with Julia, how did you determine who you wanted to work with to be able to have someone, I guess it was stamp the drawings and do those things?
Yeah, I mean, it was, we were good friends already.
Yeah.
I think we have similar personalities. We're like quite kind of laid back people. I really respected her work, what she had done already. And it was a bit of a discovery at first, but I think we ended up developing just kind of this great working relationship. I think we became even better friends as well after that, and which is not necessarily obvious. And no, it was great. I think we really part of those projects was figuring out how we designed together.
Okay.
Which was kind of an interesting kind of side quest.
Yeah.
And so I think that was aside from just doing the project itself, I think we were able to kind of design this other kind of methodology that's still kind of in progress, but I think is hugely important, whether you're working with another consultant or you're working internally with employees or a partner or whatever. I think figuring out how to communicate, especially in the kind of COVID and post-COVID era, I think was also kind of interesting and fun for us to do and figure out. So yeah, it was, we've done, I don't know, three projects together.
Okay.
I've done projects with other friends that have since started their own offices too.
You have started projects with other friends?
I might potentially be starting one with someone very soon. That same person, we did one in 2022 together.
Okay.
So I think this notion of collaborating,
it's rare.
Yeah, it is, and
people want to own it.
Yeah, and it's I think it's partly just being small and sort of being able to kind of expand in a way that's relatively easy, in the sense that you just kind of bring a kind of partner in and you collaborate together, and you have other projects that are separate. In which case there's not a big investment in that sense.
You don't own the risk of employees.
You don't own the risk of employees. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, and then I think I find it enjoyable to collaborate with other people and talk to them about the project. You get outside of your own head, and maybe your own tendencies, and it gets infused with some other sort of personality. So, I think I enjoy it a lot.
I think it's great.
And then as far as ownership, I mean, it's just, I always try to approach it as if we're collaborating. It's 50-50. It's as much yours as it is mine. And that's it. If someone, oftentimes it'll get discussed by, say, another platform, and they say one of our names or the other or whatever, and we'll each kind of try and chime in and correct them and be like, no, it's really both of us. And
so you'll correct this.
100%.
No, with me, when we're going to go post all of your projects together,
sure,
on Instagram, you're going to
definitely
sure those credits are clear. And Julia, don't worry, you'll get the credit.
Absolutely.
That's how I work. So tell me about what you experienced a decade and a half ago working as a carpenter has infiltrated into your opportunities to be able to then design for what you're describing as rural projects for people in Quebec. And how did you end up getting any feedback from builders on site or carpenters on site saying it's nice to be able to have someone that understands this? Did anyone ever say that, give you credit?
Yeah, I think so. They might not necessarily
call it out.
They don't necessarily call it out.
Yeah.
But you sense it when you go on site, and a sub or someone, a contractor starts talking to you and trying to explain you the situation, and you're like, well, actually, you're not totally right on that. It's this, and this. And then they're like, there's that moment where they look at you like, oh, actually, like, he kind of understands what's going on here, and I don't have to like baby him too much.
Yeah.
And then you can start to have like a true conversation, and like
right.
there's like they get it's like a certain amount of respect that they then impart on you, and then you can have like a serious conversation about how to figure out how to solve this problem that's in front of you. And you kind of like the egos get out of the way, and so yeah, I'm not looking necessarily for any praise, but I think that it's just like you're able to get to the crux of the issue a bit quicker, I think, on site, and you're able to maybe be more efficient with how you design or draw, details and stuff. You don't have to have rounds and rounds of feedback with the contractor or the cabinet maker who are like, that's not really how I would do it. I would do it more like this. And so, in that sense, like, I feel like I'm not starting necessarily from scratch, but then again, there's also other ways of doing things. So I try to also maintain like a kind of open ear to see how other people want to build, and maybe how details have been improved upon and gotten better. And so I'm always interested, like, I'll talk to the contractor, but I often want to kind of go right to talk to their sub or their, whoever is doing the actual work, to be like, tell me more.
Right.
Let me visit the shop. So yeah, but it's been like, that experience is kind of invaluable. It's hard to even quantify.
Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I'm that jackass right now that just keeps finishing thoughts. I was
no,
to myself, I'm like, stop it. Let him finish the thought.
No, it's good. No, is like hugely valuable. And I think early on in my practice, I made a kind of conscious decision I became Passive House certified, which is not necessarily something that I like overtly advertise.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But it's because I don't seek to necessarily do Passive House projects, but I've sort of folded it into my standard approach, so that I'll tell clients like, this is where I start my projects from, because I just feel like it shouldn't be an added feature to a project.
Right.
It should be standard.
Yeah.
And then we can have a conversation between the contractor, about maybe there's somewhere where we meet kind of in the middle between our current standard building practices and this kind of high performance approach. But I will, I'm overt and transparent at the beginning. That it's like, my typical wall compositions are here. This is the products that I like to use. These are the kind of mechanical systems that I like to use, that kind of stuff. And I feel like my decision may be to go towards that and feel comfortable, and that probably starts with that kind of experience where I was just a bit more familiar with
right.
kind of how things are typically done. And even then, that contractor would tend to go a bit above and beyond and try new things. So I think maybe it's just that kind of openness to questioning how we typically build, and always looking for like, okay, but what is like the best way to do it, and understanding that, and then dialing back to accommodate, budget, project schedule, whatever it is, the competency of the contractor. So yeah, I think that's definitely, I feel like, something that started with that experience.
Right. And are there certain materials that you try to move away from utilizing, given the fact that you have this foundation of Passive House?
I mean, I try to stay away from like foams in general, spray foams. There is a use case for it, but I feel like I don't know if it's the same here, but there's definitely contractors who are like kind of spray foam happy in Quebec.
Yep.
And you're like, no, there's other ways we can do this. And I feel like a lot of people that I collaborate with, a lot of contemporaries of mine, also have a similar kind of approach, where they're just like, well, if we can avoid it, I mean, there's a lot of other things we can use.
Someone said to me, we're like, if the application is with a mask, then what are the long-term implications with that? Exactly.
And I think clients respond well to when you say something to that effect.
Yes.
And, I've had a lot of clients who've come to me and asked for like, more kind of natural materials. And
have you heard of wood fiber? Right. I'm sure you
have. There's some great wood fiber companies. I mean, I use a lot of mineral wool. Hemp is becoming quite affordable as well. So there's a lot of alternatives, and then there's also a lot of other kind of vapor, membranes that are out there that are a lot more effective and than what we typically use. And so it's a big chunk of my job is kind of talking to clients, educating talking to contractors,
educating them,
which, depending on the contractor, is like they want to hear it or they don't. And so, but I still deem it worthwhile. And once you get a client, I have a project now where, it's a house that he'd built with his father 50 years ago. And now they want to like do a kind of high performance, renovation to it for the whole exterior facade. And he was like, I want you for that particular reason.
That's pretty cool.
So
sought you out for this.
Yeah. I mean, he's someone that I know already, but he was basically like this. I want this project to kind of really adopt all those kind of ideas, and so that's exciting. And so when you have a client that's when you have a project where you don't need to go through those steps, it's quite nice.
So,
And convincing them like why that's important and
yeah,
all
of
that.
course. Wait, tell me what year you founded your practice. What was it?
2020, 2021, let's say early 2021.
So 5 years into your practice, you've now got a client all like geared up and ready to go
Yeah,
on
and
what you really want to be putting out there
yeah,
in that way,
yeah,
which is really, really beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
that speaks a lot to, I mean, that speaks a lot to work ethic. That speaks a lot to credibility. It speaks a lot to, you as a person and how you've been able to maintain relationships with people. You could know someone and they might not want to work with you.
yeah. Well, I'm sure there's been that too, and I just haven't heard about it, which is fine. But yeah, no, yeah, I get the sense, and I've had other clients too that I've approached, and I've explained a bit my approach, and they really buy into it, and they're super interested, and so I wouldn't say it's the first one, but yeah, it's definitely an exciting project, and it's, I guess my philosophy behind it is like, I don't want to be seen as a kind of green architect.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that this is just how we should practice. It's like, I'm an architect. I like to do interesting designs, and this is the new base point for how we should be building.
Right.
And that's it. There's no cleavage of the construction practice. This is just how we should be doing it, and then we sort of like adapt and find a middle ground afterward.
Right. So tell me about, as you evolve more and more as a practice, what are the types of projects that you want to be able to work on? Is there a project that you're only 5 years in, so is there something you haven't worked on yet that you want to? Is there a specific place that you'd want to go work, whether that is in Canada, US, anywhere in the world? Is there a landscape that you've been looking for and dreamt of being able to design for?
I mean, I love practicing in Quebec, but and that will always continue. But I'm always looking to move a bit beyond that. Whether it's in neighboring provinces or down into the States, I'm always open to that. As far as like typology, I've sort of have started the process on some potential like multi-unit residential projects. Some that have kind of fallen, projects that just didn't go through, but sort of interested in that sort of scale, and moving into that, moving into more commercial, and then obviously eventually into kind of more institutional and just larger projects, but ideally all with the same kind of ethos, from the construction side, from the design side. I mean, I think the projects that we've published are, let's say, unconventional, and so I think maintaining that approach of providing a design that is functional, but yet has a certain element of delight and surprise, and is maybe perhaps unfamiliar to a client at the beginning, but when you go through the design process, you listen to what they need, it sort of feels like a natural fit, which for the two main projects that we've published was kind of, they just evolved into that.
Right.
We didn't start with these kind of design. We could never have started, for instance, Waterhouse with that kind of design in our heads. It just sort of, through looking at the client's programmatic needs, the site, it just sort of evolved naturally into that through even my collaboration with Julia and our discussions. We kind of got to this place where even we were kind of surprised at what the final product was, but it was, in that way, it's kind of truly satisfying, that whole process, where you don't come to a project with a kind of this idea of something you want to kind of force into this particular opportunity.
Yep.
So yeah, sort of continuing, evolving, and scale while maintaining that kind of approach, I think, is where I'd like to end up.
And largely in single family res and multi-family and multi-res.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm also happy to move out of residential,
Okay.
start doing more commercial work, more institutional work. When I was working in the larger offices, I worked on all kinds of projects, transportation and all kinds of stuff. So sort of venturing more into that and to kind of larger and larger programs, I think is kind of the ultimate goal. But yeah, sort of residential is through working with this contractor, and just because of the scale, it's just kind of the natural entry point for a lot of offices.
Yep.
So yeah, and as well, like continuing to collaborate with other architects, other designers, is also something I'd like to do. I think it's something that we should do more of. I see a lot of it happening here in Toronto, which is great. And Montreal is a really great design and architecture scene, where people are very, very supportive. And it's like a tight-knit group, and everyone's trying to help each other out, or at least I get that feeling. And so, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's super important. It's how we grow. It's how we learn. So
I'm heading to Montreal on Friday.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's for work or for
a little bit of work. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been there since I was 12.
Oh wow.
No, that's not true. I was there when I was 12, and then I was there again 27? No, later, 28, 29. Yeah. So I've only been there twice.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to go back. I love the city.
Yeah. Well, let me know if you need
some tips.
Places, some tips.
Yeah, for sure.
Tips and tricks.
Outside of work, what does life look like for you? How do you? We discussed the similarity of canoe and backcountry and that kind of stuff, but outside of that, family, other hobbies that you have an interest in.
Partially still renovating our own place.
Okay.
That's been an ongoing project for a few years now. Family, kind of young family. That's only going to get bigger shortly. Play hockey, see my friends.
Yeah. Travel's not really a thing right now, I assume.
Or travel is less.
Yes.
We were in the Azores actually in March, which was great. But yeah, I mean, we love to travel. My partner is European. She's from Germany.
Yep.
So we're often, or we'll go back and see her family there. But yeah, I mean, travel is huge. But yeah, it's gonna be toned down for the next little bit, let's say.
Landlocked.
Yeah, we're gonna be landlocked for a little bit, but yeah, I think just basically socializing, sports.
Yep.
That's it. Work.
Sounds good.
Work when it's something you love to do too. It's hard to kind of get away.
I can appreciate it. Yeah. Theo, I gotta thank you, man. Thanks for doing this. I love that it ended up working out that you were traveling to Toronto and we can make this work.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
I appreciate you telling all the stories. I wish you all the best in the coming months as the family expands and life becomes a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Good luck finding that balance, but the practice, I know will thrive with you continuing to be at the helm of this and driving it. And I hope that all the projects you've got coming forward now that are in construction and those that you haven't even landed yet give you a lot of satisfaction and joy.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best with your practice. I think your work is beautiful. And for anyone that's made it to here, I highly implore you, head over to Instagram, take a look at it. And I'll also ask you, if you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening on, give it 5 stars. It really helps with the reach. And, for people to hear stories like Theo just told is important. You're helping to design a world that we get to experience. And so I appreciate you doing it all.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was great.